All right, well, I'll kick it off. Thanks for joining us, everyone, on another episode of Distilling the West podcast. Today, I am super excited to have Logan Perkins on from the Perks of Cognac. And like we were talking about, Logan, I was just really impressed when I was scrolling through IG one of those days with your content. You're just full of knowledge all about cognac, Armagnac, and different brandies. I just thought to myself, I don't know much about brandy. And we're going to be getting into some more brandies from some distilleries. And, of course, cognac is kind of the benchmark of what a good brandy is. So I thought, why don't we jump into something with you, do a little collaboration, and dive into the world of brandy with you, since you're so knowledgeable and kind of have that crossover between across the pond in France and then here in the Western United States. So thanks for joining today, Logan.
I appreciate you guys for having me on. I'm excited to talk cognac, but also, some of the brandies within the U.S. that I've tried and to learn more about those and to try more of those. So I'm excited. Thank you guys.
Yeah, we're excited to have you. So why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself to our listeners so we can get to know you a little better.
Hey guys, my name is Logan Perkins. This is the Perks of Cognac. I started a channel back in August because I visited Cognac, France in 2022. Absolutely fell in love. It wasn't even my original plan. I thought, well, I like cognac and oh, it's not that far from Paris. I'll try it out. It blew my mind. So from there, I wanted to learn more. Started my channel, and from there, I grabbed the normal stuff from Hennessy and Remy, but then got into the weeds of some of those small cognac producers that truly made me fall in love with the spirit even more. So from there, I'm going back to France. I'm starting, I make videos of producing knowledge and tasting of various cognacs, armagnacs, and even recently bourbons finished in cognac armagnac barrels because those are super good. So that's a little bit about me.
Very cool. So what was it that really drew you to brandy? Was it just that trip, or did you have that passion before you went?
Yeah, so the cool thing, you guys said, yeah, you've been to, you started your kind of bourbon journey in groups, and I did as well. So my brandy journey actually started with bourbon
Okay.
because I got into bourbon because my dad is a massive collector. I mean, everything from, even there, I brought something to slide in there. I got really into the weeds because of my dad, started collecting, you name it, Buffalo Trace stuff, Pappy, all the way down to local Michigan stuff. I loved bourbon. And so for my 21st birthday, my dad actually brought me, he was like, I know we've been sipping some bourbons recently. Um, but let me try this out to you. It's called a cognac. And I knew what it was beforehand, Hennessy and things like that. But he brought me a cognac called Jean Phil Cigar Club. 21-year-old cognac, never heard it before. And when we tried it, my goodness, just blew me away. I'm like, what in the world is this? I kept that bottle. I wish I still had it, but we crushed that pretty quickly. It was delicious. I'll definitely have to get another one and review it. But from then, I really enjoyed it. So that's kind of what got me into it. And then when I had the opportunity to, go visit cognac for myself, really from there, it took off.
Nice, nice. So brandy often flies under the radar compared to whiskey or tequila, at least maybe here in the U.S. Why do you think that is? How are you working to change that?
Absolutely. This is actually something I've talked with various cognac websites and cognac producer about because, um, for instance, when I visited Cognac, France, one of my favorite producers got Prunier. We sat down for a tasting, and I, mentioned, yeah, I love bourbon. I'm growing to love cognac, and I just explaining how big bourbon got, with bottles going on secondary, and even explaining secondary, they were confused. They're like, "What does that even mean?" The concept of, it's so popular that demand is so scarce that supply and demand, right? So, and that's just the thing that I think because of the marketing of brandy, and everyone knows Hennessy, Remy Martin, but it's kind of seen as a luxury drink.
Right.
You kind of see the, look at Posh, you got your snifter and the older person drinking brandy or cognac, right? But something like bourbon, everyone drinks bourbon. I know before bourbon got popular, it was also kind of seen as a older person drink, right? But now it's like it's for everyone, younger people, older people, that people got into, additive free and like tequila, right? Like, you know, you got the most popular stuff, but now like the additive free stuff in tequila is completely blown up.
Yeah.
That's what everyone's kind of looking for. So I think that there's that is probably marketing for the most part. And they're working on that. You'll see a lot of the smaller cognac houses have really, completely flipped their social media, aiming for it. And actually, a kind of a cool stat is that now 80% of cognac is used in a cocktail. I believe it or not. But yeah, younger cognacs really have been huge in the cocktail scene recently. So VS and VSOPs, and for those who don't know, a VS cognac is a cognac that's aged for about 2 to 4 years, typically used in cocktails, light, fruity. And VSOP is anywhere around 5 to 9 years. So you can get some that are really older, some that are less, and those are typically used for cocktails or nice sippers as well. But yeah, I think that's really, yeah. I think the marketing and just then, you just no one. There's not as much knowledge either. When people think of cognac, they think of the big brands, but not much outside of that. But bourbon wise, like I think cognac needs the. Yeah, I know we dive into the question as well, but I don't think cognac has like a brand that completely kind of off the map like a Buffalo Trace that made everyone start to want to learn more about the spirit.
Which is funny because Hennessy is super popular in the States. I mean, it's a going out drink, right?
Yeah.
It's a club drink is how I see it. And I don't think I've ever seen anyone at home with Hennessy. It's always
Sipping matter, right?
Yep.
So yeah, like I said, Hennessy is the biggest brand, and I have to compare it. Hennessy is easily the Buffalo Trace of brandy and cognac. They are massive. Then you got Remy Martin, who's huge too. Martell and Cavassier. In the cognac world, it's kind of called the Big Four. You got Hennessy, Remy Martin, Martell, and Cavassier. They make up in the United States. They make up about, I think it's about. I don't want to be wrong, but it's a good, I think, 85% of the market. So that's why you never really hear about some of these small ones like we'll have today because they just dominate.
I think that was kind of my perception as well, in the sense, you look at a label of cognac and it's all in French. I don't really have any bearings as far as like, oh, is that a good cognac house, or is, little things you're looking for, like on whiskey labels, I'm looking for not chilled filter, stuff
Right.
like that kind of cues me in of like, okay, maybe this is a well-crafted made spirit. Maybe a particular, I'm sure, regionality even within the cognac and Armagnac is huge too. So I'm sure there's little things you're cued into that help you kind of sift through everything that's out there as well.
Absolutely. And that's actually a huge part. We can kind of get into it as well, but I see you pouring one of the samples there. What you
Yeah.
got?
Speaking of French names, we have, what is this? Godet single cask?
Yes, I'll show it to you here. Godet single cask.
That's a fancy bag.
And bang, this is the bottle.
Nice.
Very, very plain label. This is actually a recent offering.
Okay.
And it's cool this is a single cask because specifically about this bottle in this cognac house, single cask and cognac are actually really rare. It hasn't been a thing since really maybe a year. They have them, but it is not really marketed. It's not heavily marketed, and no one really knows about it. So in bourbon, single cask are everywhere. You can go to any store, they got a single barrel offering, but cognac, not so much. So they're really getting into it, and I love Godet because they added everything you could possibly want to know about the bottle on the label here. So like the grape variety, lot number, when it was bottled, cask number, cask type, cellar. And I think some of these, so like for instance, this is from the Foie region of Cognac.
Okay.
And we get in kind of to Actually, do you mind if I share my screen? This will make
Yeah, please.
a lot easier. Let's see here. Caption. Where? Share. Okay. Oh, I can't share my screen. But if you
You might be able to click a great button here. I'm nosing this right now, and
oh, you're good.
you're pretty great on the nose. Like I'm getting a typical brandy nose on it, some bright fruit.
Yeah.
Verging on dried fruit, kind of getting into maybe some raisiny aspect.
Yeah, it's a beautiful, dark, or I guess light amber honey kind of color.
Nice.
Yeah, real white.
Clinging to the glass there.
No, this is also cash strength at 44.4%. I don't know when, in bourbon, I would be like, oh, that's nothing. But cognac, that's getting up there. It's kind of fun to say, but.
And so where is
I get a lot of tropical on this one.
What are you going to say there, Dave?
Oh, I was going to ask, where is that you got the bottle? Is it something you were
I got this bottle. Sorry, you said where I got the bottle.
Oh, yeah, is it something you could find locally?
Unfortunately, no. This was a special release from cognacexpert.com.
Okay.
It's still there, sold out initially, but they just actually got some more in. But that's kind of one struggle, I think, as well in cognac, with tariffs and things like that of recent, but also shipping something internationally. This bottle's about $100. I think it's excellent for that. Really good price, right? Not too bad. 17-year-old single cap. But with that, I mean, I think I would probably have to pay around $200 just to get it now. That's probably one I wish it was more available. And I know they're, the cognac websites that I talk to are working on that. How do we make these more accessible? But if you want to, it is on cognacexpert.com. You can type in Godet Godet single cast 17-year. It'll pop up. But yeah, I wish it was more available. But cheers, guys.
Yeah, cheers.
Yeah, I get on the finish there. There's kind of like a chocolatey raisin thing going on that I'm enjoying.
Oh no, absolutely. I definitely get the chocolate too.
Yeah, and this one will be fun. After this, we'll get to compare the Germain Robin single barrel Pinot Noir 17-year-old. So we'll have a good age comparison. We did an interview with EJ Gallo. They're the parent company of Germain. Yeah, EJ. That they actually have a ton of different brands, like they'll Dalmore Scotch, like that. They got quite a bit under their umbrella, but Germain's definitely like their craft brandy brand that they're doing a lot of really great stuff. That was a fantastic interview. If folks want to go back and check that out. So we'll get into that one next.
Yeah. Can you tell us a little bit more about Godet?
Yeah, Godet. Godet is a interesting cognac house because they're not actually in cognac. If you were to look at a map of France, they are in La Rochelle, which is right by the Atlantic, I believe. So they are right by the ocean, and that kind of, that's kind of, they're marketing wise, they're really nautical. I was gonna say they've been around for a while. They're actually one of the older cognac houses. They're established in 1588. And being way out there, they just that's really into their character, about being nautical and, by the water, facing the ocean. And the cognac's actually made out there, of that region in cognac are called the Bois Ordinaire. You have 5 crus of cognac.
Okay.
And I'll explain, because this kind of ties into this bottle as well, of why it tastes the way it tastes. So you have actually 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You have Grand Champagne, which is kind of the heart of cognac, Petit Champagne, Borderies, Foie Bois, Bon Bois, and then Bois Ordinaire, where Godet is, but they don't have to source from there. So this bottle is in the Foie Bois region, and that region is known for really fruitier cognacs, really fruit forward, as you can taste. This one's pretty, pretty up to that notion, really fruit forward. Grand Champagne would be considered the best, um, because of the chalk. That's actually what Grand Champagne means, like a lot of chalk. So it just makes these really, really great balanced, finesseful cognacs.
Okay.
But yeah, the Foie Bois region, super, super fruity. Grand Champagne really is just kind of the best for aging. So typically, like, that's why I brought you the 45 year, because a Foie Bois 45, good, but Grand Champagne at 45, my goodness, taste that there. So there is so much information. It's kind of crazy. And that's why I'm trying to educate people, because there's literally tons and tons of different factors that go into what makes a cognac good from not so good.
Well, let me ask a basic question then. You mentioned the 6 different regions. What makes something classified as that part of that region? Is it where the grapes are from, or where it's aged, or how does that work?
Yeah, where the grapes are, were grown, essentially.
Okay.
Because just that, the essentially with the soil there, that's kind of how they made it. If the grapes are there, then that's where they're sourcing the grapes. Same places, like I know that in whiskey, right? Just having that, like, Michigan bourbon will be so different than a Southern bourbon
Right.
because of like where, it's barreled and the heat. And so it's same thing kind of with the grapes. Those different regions have different composites of the soil. So it plays a huge factor in, how it will taste. So it's where the grapes are grown. You can place it, you can age it anywhere. Like a big brand you may have seen called Hein, their cognac house. Yeah, they're kind of everywhere. They're definitely getting up there in popularity. So, you have to have your grapes from cognac, and that's what makes it a cognac. But they're I know they're based in Britain. So they they barrel their cognac there.
Oh, okay. Interesting. All right. Well, let's pour up a sample of this Germain Robin single barrel Pinot Noir, 17-year-old.
Absolutely. Show there.
So curious to hear your opinion on this one.
Have you had anything from Rogan before?
I have not, but they've been really on my radar since one being, kind of when I ask people what's like really good brand, they say Jermaine Robin's really under the radar. I'm like, I gotta try their stuff. So I've been eyeballing it, but it's tough living in Michigan. I'm from Ann Arbor, Michigan. If you like football, go blue. So shipping, we're not allowed to ship here. It can be tough to.
Oh, really? I don't think I knew that.
Yeah, Michigan doesn't allow shipping. How do I get my cognac? I don't know. But no, so I'm really excited to try this. And the interesting thing to me is the grape use, right? California, arguably, obviously from our French viewers, I'm sorry, but California makes some of the best wine in the world, right? So Pinot Noir, that's one of my favorite grapes. So I'm excited to try a brandy made from that, right? Because cognac doesn't use like wine making grapes.
It's usually like the Uni Blanc, right?
Exactly. About 95% of all cognac is made with Uni Blanc. That's not really a grape you'll see in wine an awful lot. Sometimes some cheaper table wines that you might sip with some seafood or a light dinner or lunch. But that's because of the acidity. So typically they say a bad wine grape makes a phenomenal cognac. So that's why they use the Uni Blanc. You'll see Foyer Blanche as well. But yeah, that's mainly the Uni Blanc. So that's why I'm like, Pinot Noir, I gotta try this.
Yeah, that was kind of one of the things that stood out to me in that interview was when they got started in like 1933, Hubert, coming out to California from France was like, look at all these amazing grape varieties. So he really broke the mold and was like, I think they said there wasn't a grape variety that they had not distilled yet. So they had all those different varieties to pull from. So that was a really cool interview.
Yeah, those guys were awesome. So
I love the nose just right out the gate.
Yeah, mainly I get like a little bit of that raisin. What's the proof on this? I don't know.
I think it's 80.
80? Man, I'm kind of shocked because it's a really powerful nose.
Yeah.
Get that raisin. To me, like a slight cherry note.
Yeah, which I know Pinot is known for. Sometimes you get that kind of cherry cola on the wines, especially.
Yeah, that is a nice nose. But yeah, let's dive into it. Cheers, fellas.
Cheers. Oh, sorry, I was trying to pull up that proof real quick.
Now, in comparison, you said the last one was fruit forward. Do you feel like this is a little more fruit forward, or maybe not as much?
Guys, fellas, what have you brought me here today? Oh my goodness. That is fantastic. I would say so. There's a lot going on in that Godet, but obviously the fruit. But this is, I think, just because of the Pinot Noir, this is really interesting. I gotta do a double take.
Yeah,
it's 41% alcohol, 41.5, something like that.
Okay.
So yeah, it's really good, and this is my third ever brandy that I ever had. So yeah, exactly.
Wow, yeah. But different type of fruit. Like I get a little more tropical on the Godet. This is, I'm getting cherry raisin.
Yeah, I think cherry is really right.
Like a cooked apricot, maybe. Like there's a lot going on.
Yeah, I'm liking this. Yeah, this one was fantastic. And, I kind of go back. I forget if I sent you the XO as well.
You did.
Yeah. Okay. The XO, I think, edges this one out a little bit for me. It being a blend, kind of had some more complexity, a lot more to pick out on the notes. But for what this is, like a 17-year-old, and a varietal, it's so interesting. I mean, on the mid palate, it really like dances across my tongue. I got that going on, and kind of some more of that chocolate at the end, but maybe not as much as the Godet.
I definitely can see where you're getting the chocolate. Also, I get a slight baking spice on the palate as well.
Yeah, it almost reminds me of like a compote my grandparents used to make when I was a kid, of just that low stewed fruit with all the spices. Kind of
absolutely, yeah.
And the French limousine oak, is that pretty much what's used across the board in France?
Yeah, for the most part, you're getting limousine. You're getting another oak they use called Troncois. I think I butchered that, but yeah, Troncois. But yeah, for the most part, those are the oaks that are being used. Do you know what oak is used? This American?
They use the limousine. Yeah,
not limousine. Nice.
They also use big fooders as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, for the actual distillation process, how does that differ for what they do for these cognacs than what we might do here for either whiskey or even brandy?
I'm not sure the distillation process in America or American brandies, but for cognac specifically, what kind of differentiates cognac from other French brandies such as Armagnac is that it's double distilled. They typically use, I think, all pot stills. I actually don't think there's a single column still. Yeah, they all use pot stills over there.
Yeah, they want to retain that flavor.
Yeah, definitely those esters, right?
Yeah, and they're the alembic style.
Yes,
of the pot stills, where it kind of has that big flared out bulb section up at the top.
Trying to think. Yeah, I know most of lambic, but I can't say if it's kind of like across the board. But I know most of my favorite, like Godet, I know is lambic. Some other wines. So I think for the most part, most of them are lambic. That's a part of, that information. Unless you kind of ask or look into it, it's not always available. Like I recently got a newspaper from Cognac Expert, a great website. I have a phenomenal relationship with them. But like that information, I think is one aspect that I'm really trying to work on, and kind of for my future videos is getting that information out to audiences to learn more, because it's kind of something like you kind of got to get into weeds to know. I feel that with like whiskey, it's like, automatically it's on the label, or, kind of word of mouth. Everyone kind of knows like, oh, this is it's a 10-year, but oh, this batch specifically is like a 12-year, right? Like that Russell's 10, maybe you heard about like not too long ago. That certain batch was like, oh, there's a little bit of 13-year in it. Like, I think just word of mouth and getting that community of people that are just sharing information all over the place. But yeah, typically lambic stills, pot stills, and double distilled for finesse.
And then they do proofing in the cask, right? That's kind of the cognac method, right?
Yes, they do.
Okay, yeah. And so they got the distillate in the barrels and they're adding water. I imagine that's probably a slow process.
Yeah, most of them use the slow distillation. No, yes. So yeah, they proof it in the cask, and most cognacs are proofed down to 40. I just think probably 90% of them. So that's why that single cask is nice, because at 44 you're getting something that's really unique and different. But most cognacs you're gonna see at 40. Unfortunately, when I went to cognac, they brought me out something that was 50%, and it is hard. It has been hard not to always want that. So, but it gets pricey. That's creme de la creme single cask.
Yeah.
Well, cool. I want to ask you what you think American brandy producers can learn from the cognac tradition. But before I do, I want to take a second to take a quick break to go to one of our sponsors.
All right, let's hear.
Oh, absolutely.
Sponsors. Okay, and we're back. You just asked a question, Dave.
I did. Welcome back, everybody. So my question was this. What do you think American brandy producers can learn from all of the tradition and all the history in the cognac region? And then kind of to balance that out, is there anything that they should specifically not take away?
Yeah, I think one thing, like trying this is awesome. Like Roman, like that is crazy good.
Glad to hear that.
But I think one thing, because cognac's the biggest brandy. What can American? I think since people are so used to the finesse of cognac, I think maybe they can take away. Because I don't know, is this Robinson single distilled or double distilled, twice distilled?
I'm forgetting.
Because I think that's a huge part of why cognac is really just smooth and finesseful, and that's what they cheer to lean on. I think that would be a phenomenal question, because if they do like single distill, maybe trying out some twice distill would get people's, like those who already drink cognac, maybe to start trying more American brandies. But I think one thing American brandy producers cannot do is don't try to be like cognac. Cognac is already very established. I mean, you got cognac houses as old as 1500. Yeah, they've been doing this a long time. But also in that aspect, like we are just getting single cask. Why is that? They're rooted in that tradition. So things like Martell has one bottle they've ever made that's a bourbon cask. But also they don't really give you a lot of info of what bourbon cask or for how long, right? And you will rarely ever see a finish. I think what I've loved seeing from more just across the board, like some Kentucky brandy producers, is more finishes. I love that. That's super awesome. I saw IPA finish the other day. I'm like, that's crazy. Like a beer barrel, and I would love to try it. Is it good? I don't know, but just that creativeness, I just love that difference.
Nice. Well, I mean, you were talking about collaborations there with not really many finishes, but have you seen any interesting collaborations between cognac producers, or do they kind of just stay in their own lane?
I think the biggest one would be Bardstown with Forand. I know that that bourbon bottle just like exploded, and I got to try that, and that was pretty darn good. So I've been seeing more cognac producers getting kind of collaborations on the bourbon kind of finish, but all in all, I'm trying to think what's been a collab recently that I think that's probably the biggest one that comes to mind. Like, I don't know how that happened, but like that brand bourbon was fantastic. So I would love to see more collaborations in the future that are really out there, or really cognac houses to get with like an American producer, right? That would be really cool.
Well, should we jump into one more of these? You want to do the Buston or Le Grand?
The Armagnac?
Yeah.
Yeah, Gaston Le Grand.
Which,
Actually,
about finishes, I don't think I've ever had a bourbon finish in a cognac barrel, but I have had bourbons finish in Armagnac barrels.
I will tell you right now, that's probably my favorite finish right now. I don't know what, just the Armagnac finishes in bourbon have been fantastic. If you don't mind, real quick, I forgot to bring it, but I have the bottle. I can show you guys of the Armagnac real quick.
Oh yeah, that'd be really cool.
Yeah,
I'll be right back.
yeah, I'll nose on this.
And this is 1986. That's a good year.
86, baby.
Gaston Legend Armagnac. This one's 46%, so a little extra kick to it. I see you nosing over there already, Dan. I'm a little behind.
Wow, this is nothing like our first two pours, whereas those were very fruit forward. This kind of has more of a...
So yeah, here's the Gaston Le Grand 1986. So that's the distillation day. I don't know when it was bottled. Try to see. Yeah, they don't, but I know I got this recently, so it's easily bottled within the last probably 5 years. So it's definitely older distillate.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
But yeah, the main thing with Cognac and Armagnac, so French are really into naming things after their regions. So Cognac is from Cognac, France. Armagnac is from Armagnac, France, or called the Gascony region. Okay. But the main difference is that they use different grapes. So you'll see Foyer Blanche, Montils instead of Uni Blanc. Okay. They still use it, but they, just because they're grown better, they use different grapes. And then they single distill Armagnac instead of twice distilled, which definitely makes a huge difference. And I think like the mouthfeel and being a little more robust, I'm sure you can already taste and smell like it's definitely a different spirit.
Yeah, very much so.
Like a lot of baking spice, kind of like cooked fruits.
A rustic backbone to it. I don't know what that means, but that's what came across to me.
No, they're pretty rustic over there. Definitely is like a lot of farmland over there.
Mm-hmm. It's a little like sugary sweeter on the nose to me than the fruity sweet.
Yeah, I get like a little brown sugar for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Fruits. Not as bright fruit to me as the cognac or even the Robin 17-year, just a little definitely robust.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's got a little spice on the mid palate there. That's pretty nice.
Yeah, I'm trying to put my finger on it. There's something in that palate that's just different from the cognac that I like.
Yeah, I have a hard time pinpointing it too. There's definitely like stewed apricot. Almost like even kind of weird to say, but I give it some bourbons like a little like hay, like it's just kind of some herbalness for sure.
And it's almost like a light rye or something. Like,
yeah,
that spice, that vegetal note maybe.
It would explain why I'm liking it.
You like those type of ryes?
Yeah, I'm a rye guy for sure.
Yeah, I tell people like I think I said this in one of my videos, but like if you like rye whiskey, I think Armagnac would be the brandy for you because I think there's more robust, more baking spices.
Yeah, definitely. Well, are there any brandies in the Western United States that really stick out to you that you've tried? Have you branched out much?
Besides the Roman, I would say I want to try more. Like you guys sent me one from Washington, right? Like,
Yeah.
I can't wait to try that. Robin, and I'm trying to think. I don't think I have, unfortunately. I just like I said, kind of with the shipping, it can get hard to get bottles.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, I know I'm really excited to try more from the Western U.S., especially come from California. But like if Washington, I see. Where's that Argonaut saloon strength from?
That's actually from EJ Gallo. That was in the same
Oh, great.
interview, and that's a line that they're producing that's a little bit more affordable, like that Argonaut. I think it was maybe a 1.75 liter, or the step in between a 750 and I think it's more about like $45, and it has to like 21-year-old in it, but then it also has down to like 2 and 3-year-old stuff, and it's a little bit more of their cocktail oriented.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so we made some sidecars out of those. That was really good. But they have several, like the Fat Thumb, the
Oh, I don't even remember.
yeah, there were a few of them, but a couple different styles, and it's kind of their heralding back to the Argonauts that were like the gold miners. So that's kind of I think we sent you the saloon strength one. So they kind of have that old timey saloon, and we got into how maybe the first old fashioned was actually made with brandy and not whiskey.
Really?
Yeah, and so
I did not know
I
that.
made old fashioned with that, and let me tell you, it makes a very sessionable, crushable old fashioned. So if you're, wanting kind of a crushable cocktail on a hot day, that's a good one.
And honestly, you were mentioning those younger cognacs being used in cocktails. I know brandy old fashions are big in the Midwest. I was wondering if you had done any cognac old fashions.
I actually did. I'm planning to post that, I think, Monday.
Nice.
Made one using Remy 1738. You can find that everywhere. So I chose that. That's a VSOP. A little more depth, than like a VS. VS. I haven't made one with a VS yet, but actually a phenomenal one. I sent this to you, the Planat VSOP.
Okay.
Organic, really cool producer. One of the fewer organic producers of cognac. 5 years old. Fantastic option for cognac old fashioned. So it's definitely on my radar, and I've been enjoying them. I'm definitely going to make more videos on brandy cocktails in general. So like I might actually save the saloon strength if you say it's good. I think I'll do a video of that using that, so that sounds really good.
I thought it was pretty surprising for just being 5 years old. I thought it was good.
I like them.
Yeah.
So when it comes to cocktails and cognac, what's your favorite thing to make?
So far, there are so many. I have a whole list I'm trying to like film and go through.
Yeah.
But man, I'll tell you, man, filming the cocktail videos, it is a mess. I gotta find a better like situation to do it. But so far, I love a good sidecar.
Okay.
There was I love a surprisingly, in the Midwest, like where we love our Werners, right? Our ginger ales. Cognac ginger has been actually probably my favorite. Just simple cognac ginger ale. Think add maybe a mint leaf, but like very simple, but it is darn good. So that's probably my favorite right now, just off of simplicity and just how I taste it.
Nice.
Well, do we want to try the pièce de résistance?
Yes, Junier, man, they're the first cognac house I visited when I went, and I am so glad I visited because now like I'm going back.
Ruin yourself, Logan?
I kind of did, honestly. It's actually like because like when I started the channel, I didn't think how big it would get, but I'm almost I'm at like 750 on Instagram. And I didn't think it was ever gonna get like that. It's not even been a year, so I'm like, oh shoot. And then like now, like Premier, they I got more samples from them, and now like people want me to go and tour video, so I'll be doing a tour video with them in November. But here's that bottle. 45-year-old Grand Champagne at 45.2 ABV. And that's where I say that older Grand Champagnes just really have balance, finesse. This is called their History Edition. They just released this on Cognac Expert. It was about $2.20, and I got it on sale too. So not a cheap bottle, but that is it is it is darn good. I just would love to know your thoughts on it.
Yeah,
This is
ultra
trying to
viscous. Look at those legs in the glass, and man, that nose. There's a excellent. I get like a sweet baked good kind of. Oh gosh, like that on top of pies where you get that like crumble topping.
Okay.
I get that crumble topping with that buttery, sugary Maillard flour reaction thing going on. That's great.
I haven't even noticed it yet. I just know our producer's first reaction was, "Oh, damn, that was good."
Yeah,
Like, not much there.
that is so funny. Yo, no, this is when I visited there, I still have the bottle, but unfortunately it is all gone. I got to try their 1969 petite champagne.
Ooh.
It was about 50 years old. And that ruined me. So I wanted you guys to try out this 45 year.
Yeah, this is pretty spectacular in the glass, man.
Wow.
Well, we really appreciate you sending the samples. Thanks so much.
Anytime.
Yeah, this is a treat.
I just can't describe how amazing this is. That cake or pie type topping, I think, is nailing it for me. That slightly burnt, like, I don't know.
Maybe the fruit of the pie gives the little carameled sugar in there for you.
Yeah.
Definitely get the pastry. There's definitely a little confectionery orange to me.
Mhm.
Like a cooked plum too.
There's like a surprising.
Old grain champagnes are just they just really keep their freshness. Like I've had a 100-year-old cognac, and it was a great champagne, and that I wish I could send it to you. It's all gone. I can only afford the small bottle, like so. But that was pretty crazy. That was from a small family cognac producer off Famille Caban. And that I'm glad I even got to try that. That was on Cognac Expert as well. For you guys listening, just a great cognac website. They have a lot of knowledge on there too if you want to learn more. But yeah, Grand Champagnes, the big difference, like they just keep their freshness with the older ages, 45, 50, 60. But like something like a Foie Bois I've had at 50 years old, and it was good, but I just didn't think it kept its freshness as well.
Yeah, I mean, when you say freshness, I really get that in here. I am surprised by how clean and crisp it is for sitting that long in a barrel, which makes me wonder. I mean, are most of these barrels like sitting in caves and stuff like that, or are they more protected warehouses? How are these not getting overly oaked?
Yeah, the main reason is that something like bourbon, right, has to be a new charred barrel. Cognac, they don't have to put in a new barrel, same as like Scotch.
That's right.
So typically they, to keep it from being over oaked, there are producers who do use new ones, and that's pretty wild stuff. And I think that's why they used older barrels.
Yeah.
They might throw it in a new barrel for like a year, 2 years, then they put in an older barrel. There's not a whole lot of detail of like, is there a practice of using like a certain age of an older barrel or whatnot? But yeah, that's the main reason you can have really old stuff not be completely, oaked out, because they use the older barrels.
And what's flooring me is, am I reading this right? 45.2%?
Yes.
To have something 45 years old and still retain that much alcohol, that is amazing.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of like Premier Day, like I said, their 1969 was 50%. Like, how in the world did it? No idea. I'll definitely dive into that when I interview them in November. But yeah, like there's so much. I'm still learning to this day. There's so much that goes into that. Slowly but surely, I think everyone who wants to get into cognac and brandy, I think they'll start seeing those more details, because they're realizing that people really want the quote unquote the good stuff, right?
Yeah.
because especially in older stuff like $200, that's a lot of money. But really, I mean, for 45 years, it's really so like the 100 year with the 100 year on that I got the full price. I got it on sale for half off, but the full price was only like 900. So when you break that down to years, it's like it's really not that. So
Okay. So, what do you see as some of the common misconceptions on cognac or Armagnac or even brandy that you frequently have to like bust with your content, your commenters, and everything?
yeah, I think one of the biggest things is that people think cognac and brandy are different things.
Okay.
Like I remember I was at the liquor store one day. Um, I'm like, I was talking with the guy just about cognac. I'm like, yeah, I think that's probably like the best brandy out there. He was like, oh, brandy, brandy. I'm like, yeah, cognac's brandy. He was like, cognac's cognac. But yeah, I think that's probably the biggest misconception is that cognac has gotten so large for what it is that people disassociate the two, which I find kind of really interesting. But that's how just well the name cognac has been marketed throughout the years. That's definitely the biggest misconception because you hear cognac, I think people think of that quality, but then you hear brandy, I feel like brandy is seen as like people view it as not as like it doesn't have that quality because typically you'll see kind of cheaper brandies like, mixers, right? Like a Christian Brothers brandy, right? Nice mixers or something you'll have, 20, $30. But now I'm drinking like something like the Roman is fantastic. Can't wait to try these other ones too. I think that brandy, I think is slowly getting more popular, especially as I'm seeing one of my favorite accounts, great man, Copper Pot Brandy. He posts like all the new brandies coming out. I'm not sure if you see him on Instagram. Yeah, Copper Pot Brandy.
I'm looking up.
He puts out like all these new. He just looks at I forgot what it's called, but it's the system where you can see like all the new releases.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I keep seeing just new brandies all the time from everywhere, especially the West. Peach brandy, blueberry brandy, like crazy stuff. So I think brandy is slowly becoming more more in people's kind of span of knowledge for sure.
I can see where that's very similar to bourbon in the sense, where people just have it in their mind where, either only bourbon can only come from Kentucky, which
Right.
in America, and also maybe just that only good bourbon comes from Kentucky.
Right.
As we found on this podcast, that is absolutely not true. We've been tasting some fantastic bourbons here on the podcast. And speaking of bourbon, I was curious, and this was probably like my original question when I started following you and we started interacting of just from your perspective, like and maybe we're sipping on it right now, is there kind of like a Pappy Van Winkle equivalent to cognac? And not that, Pappy is necessarily the best whiskey that has ever been created, but it's certainly the one that just has that name recognition and that people are actively hunting and pursuing. So I was just wondering, like, if there's anything like that really sticks out in the cognac world.
Yeah, no, man, Pappy Van Winkle, the story. Right, this is like any cognac or brandy even have that type of story, and that's embedded in all of our minds. I wouldn't say so. Even the biggest brand, Hennessy, they have more expensive bottles. They have more, top-notch bottles. Like I visited them. They have their Paradis bottle. It's $1,000. I believe you get a blend of like 40 to 80 years, and they don't tell you the percentages, but I tasted it. It's easily older stuff. It was excellent. But even that bottle, I don't think it even has even close to the revered of a Pappy Van Winkle. So I wouldn't say there is yet. I think slowly and more that I think there's people, the smaller community, like especially like there's a Facebook group I've been called Cognac Lovers. really kind of tight-knit community of people all across the world who really are into cognac. There's definitely producers that I think people are willing to drop money for, but still cognac is nowhere near as popular where people are hunting.
Okay.
Cognac producers, they just don't make as much. So like this Prunier, like I don't think was there even 400 bottles? Like I don't think so. Right. So,
Mhm.
you know, I don't unfortunately I like kind of wrapping up, but I don't think there is yet. But I think that there are some producers that are consistently making some good stuff that it could get there.
Cool. So I guess in that same vein, as opposed to those like dream tier bottles, what's your go-to? What would you recommend someone who's just getting into cognac and doesn't want to spend $1,000 on a bottle?
Right. No, that's kind of a secret tidbit, but I mean, you can get older stuff for a lot less from a smaller producer. But yeah, one of my favorite go-tos right now, I would say ABK6 is doing some really good stuff in their VSOP range. I think $50, really darn good. You can't go wrong with the bigger brands, Remy. I think specifically Martell VSOP is really good to me.
Okay.
Really light, really drinkable experience. But yeah, from a smaller producer, I would say, man, there's so many. Gosh. But that's so different too. I would say ABK6 is doing some great stuff. Some you can get at a lot of. It's they're you can find them pretty easily nowadays.
Okay.
ABK6 VSOP is one of my favorite go tos, and then I would say darn, because I'm also trying to think of something that's available.
Right. That's the hardest part, right?
You'll have to ship from France, and it's going to tack on like $100.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I would say Martell VSOP and ABK6 VSOP.
Cool.
Those are great options.
And then how about like a mid-shelf go-to, something that maybe is a little bit above a solid budget pour that you feel like you can really groove on it, but you're not also breaking the bank.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I don't know why I'm blanking on their name, but not Bosch Key Rielson. Tiffon, 1 second. I don't know why I'm forgetting because it's literally on my mind.
I'm right there with you. A lot of people put me on the spot of, so what's your favorite whiskey, or what's your favorite thing you've tried?
I don't know why I'm blanking out.
Oh my gosh, there is so much.
I literally did a video on it. It's my favorite budget, like XO cognac, and I'm not sure why I'm blanking on it. Oh, Brasted XO for the money is fantastic. You can find that for about $80. And XO cognac, for those who don't know, is a minimum of 10 years. But they really emphasize that minimum because you can find the XO if you really look into it. That's 40 years old, 30 years old, right? But this one's a blend of 15 to 25. $80, fantastic. I think for the money, they are killing it. So Brastad, Braastad.
Very cool. We'll have to look that one up. Now, I have one last question for you while we wrap up, and that's kind of on the future of cognac. Like, where do you see, I almost said the hobby, but where do you see the craft, the spirit going here in the U.S. over the next, I don't know, 6 months to 2 years?
Yeah, and that's something I'm working really close to cognac houses because that's kind of like the reason my channel. Like I realized, man, there's not really any cognac content creators really, right? You got guys who do it here and there, but I think that's going to be a huge part of the future. I think we're going to see more content around on cognac. Like, you see bourbon guys all over the place, right? Like Bruzel, like huge, creators. But I think that's gonna be a huge part of it. I think we're gonna see more cognac content. Not like only myself, but just more, marketing and things like that. I think the cocktail scene is gonna be probably the biggest thing, in my opinion. Like cocktails are already popular, but I think we're gonna see more cognac cocktails, more brandy cocktails. And then because there's such a small group of people who are actually buying these like premium single cask older stuff, you know, $100, $200. And then it's getting hard because cognac actually was really hit pretty hard by tariffs recently. A lot of small producers are having they're not going to go under, but definitely finding ways like how do we get cognac out there, in a creative way. So I think we're going to see more like age statements from cognac, like something like the 17 year, you know, because that wasn't really done. I think we're going to see moves like that. Like bourbon's making similar moves with kind of their, I don't even know what to call it. I know people were like the bourbon bust, but it hasn't really busted, right? So, but yeah, I think we're just going to see more moves like that, more age statements, so people know the quality they're getting. But I think cocktails specifically, they're going to really hit hard on because they're tasty.
Very cool. Well, I'm looking forward to your series on the cocktails then to really, really dive into some new stuff to make with it.
No, for sure. Like I'm gonna put out the old fashioned sometime this week, and I got a long list. I'm pretty behind, but I'm working on it.
Well, speaking of that, I guess I lied. I do have one more question.
No,
Where can listeners find you?
Oh, yes. Good one, Dave.
absolutely, yeah. You can find me on Instagram under the Perks of Cognac. I'm on all social media, TikTok, YouTube under the same name, and that's where I put most of my videos out. I try to do longer formats on YouTube, so diving more into details of some of these bottles. But on Instagram really has been pretty crazy where I do a lot of the shorts. So mainly my Instagram and YouTube.
Yeah, I really appreciated that content. You really dive into it. All your tasting notes are great. And just like I said, that's why we're having this interview today, is because I was super impressed with you, sir. And just thank you so much for all these samples. You really went above and beyond. It'll be fun to try some of the ones we didn't make onto the podcast and stuff. We'll groove on those. And, we'll do our best to see how we might be able to help you, or at least encourage you get into some of the brandies produced here in the Western United States and get that.
Absolutely. You don't even have to try it. I'm definitely going to try really hard to like take a road trip or, cause that's something I got to do too. Like there's so many, like I tried a Kentucky brandy, that I'll be putting out soon, but like this is phenomenal brandy. Like how do people not know about it? So it's definitely on my radar, and I'm going to try hard to get some more of the Western US.
Right. Yeah, totally.
Right. Well, thank you again so much, Logan. We really appreciate your time today. Have yourself a great rest of your weekend, man. Cheers.
Cheers, brother.
Cheers. Thank you, guys.